The 1971 S Lincoln Cent, background and basic facts. Before we get into the big bucks, let's set the stage. The 1971 S Lincoln Cent was minted at the San Francisco Mint, which is denoted by the S mint mark just below the date. The cent features the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, originally designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo. Material: 95% copper, 5% zinc. Weight: 3.11 grams. Mintage: over 525 million struck in San Francisco. So with over 500 million produced, how can a 1971 S penny be rare? Because of minting mistakes, the kinds that weren't meant to happen. And when they do, collectors go crazy for them. The errors that make the 1971 S Lincoln Cent worth $109,000. Most pennies from 1971 S are worth just face value, unless they contain specific, ultra-rare errors. Let's break down the most valuable ones. 1. Double die obverse, DDO, the crown jewel gemstone. This is the king of all 1971 S Lincoln Cent errors. What it is: a double die obverse occurs when the coin is struck with a die that was misaligned or hubbed twice, creating a noticeable doubling of design elements. What to look for: on the 1971 S DDO, strong doubling appears on "In God We Trust Liberty" the date 1971. Collectors seek out these markers with magnifying glasses. When found in mint state red condition, these coins are incredibly rare and valuable. Money bag value. MS-64 red, $10,000 to $28,000. MS-65 red, $45,000 to $75,000. MS-66 red, up to $109,000, recorded at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions. Imagine that, one small cent turning into six figures overnight. 2. Off-center strikes, wild and rare. Counterclockwise arrows button. Another amazing error is when the coin is struck off-center, often missing part of the design. Off-center strikes between 50% and 75% with full dates are particularly valuable. If the S mint mark and date are still visible, and Lincoln's portrait is clear, collectors are willing to pay thousands. Money bag value. High grade 60 to 75% off-center, $1,000 to $12,000 plus. 3. Wrong planchet error, a penny that's not a penny. Exploding head. Some 1971 S cents were accidentally struck on planchets meant for dimes, nickels, or even foreign coins. Example: in 1971, S cent struck on a 10-cent planchet weighs only 2.3 grams instead of the standard 3.11 grams. These errors are incredibly scarce and command huge prices. Money bag value. Depending on rarity and condition, $5,000 to $30,000 plus. 4. Clipped planchets, bite taken out of the coin cookie. Clipped planchet errors occur when a blank coin is miscut during production, leaving a portion of the coin missing. If the clip is dramatic and the rest of the coin is in good shape, values can rise significantly. Money bag value. Clipped, full design, $1,000 to $8,000 plus. Chart increasing how to spot these errors in your pocket change. If you want to find a 1971 S error cent, here's how you can start. 1. Check the mint mark. Make sure the penny has an S below the date. 2. Look closely at the lettering. Use a magnifying glass to look for doubling in Liberty and In God We Trust. 3. Weigh the coin. If it weighs less than 3.11 g, it may be a wrong planchet. 4. Inspect for off-center strikes or clips. A visible strike error or missing part of the coin is worth checking. Scroll auction records, real coins, real money. Let's talk about actual sales. Real proof that this isn't just hype. 1971 SDDO in MS66 red, sold for $109,250 at Heritage Auctions. 1971 S off-center with full date, sold for $13,000. 1971 S wrong planchet, dime auction for $26,500. 1971 S clipped planchet, sold for $6,700. Brain why these errors happened. A peek inside the U.S. Mint. In the 1970s, U.S. Mint operations were under pressure to meet massive coin demand. As a result, dies were reused too often. Mint employees had to rush processes. Planchet feed errors were common. All this led to the rarest of minting mistakes, and minting mistakes mean money. Gemstone condition is key. How grading changes the game. Grading is the most important factor in coin value. A 1971 SDDO in XF, extremely fine, might fetch $5,000 to $10,000. MS64, MS65 red, jumps to $50,000 plus. MS66 red, that's your $109,000 unicorn. Toolbox tools you need to start hunting. Magnifying glass or loop, 10x4 spotting doubling. Digital scale, to check for wrong planchets. Lighting, a good lamp brings out fine details. Coin flip holders, to protect possible fines. PCGS photo grade app, to check grades. Megaphone final thoughts, your 1971 S penny could change your life. So now you know, the 1971 S Lincoln error cent isn't just a coin, it's a treasure. A simple penny worth up to $109,000, hiding in change drawers, old jars, or inherited collections. The basics. What is the 1972 S Lincoln cent? Before we dive into the valuable errors, let's set the foundation. The 1972 S Lincoln penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint, and it features obverse, Abraham Lincoln's bust, designed by Victor D. Brenner. Reverse, the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. Mint mark S below the year 1972. Composition, 95% copper, 5% zinc. Weight, 3.11 grams. Over 376 million of these coins were minted, so how can it be rare? Because only a handful were struck with devastating mint errors, and those are the ones worth tens of thousands, or even over $100,000. Magnifying glass tilted left the ultra-rare error, the 1972 S double die obverse, DDO. Let's get straight to the crown jewel, the 1972 S double die obverse. It's one of the most dramatic and valuable double die errors in U.S. coin history. What is a double die? It's when the coin's die, the tool that stamps the design, has a misalignment during the hubbing process, causing elements of the design to be doubled on the finished coin. And the 1972 SDDO shows clear, bold doubling in some of the most visible areas. In God we trust. Liberty. The date 1972. It's not subtle. This doubling is strong and unmistakable even with the naked eye, but a magnifier helps spot it more clearly. Money bag value guide. How much is it worth? If you have one of these rare double die errors, here's how the value stacks up. XF40, extremely fine $8,000 to $12,000. 55 Australian dollars, about uncirculated $15,000 to $25,000. MS64 red, $40,000 to $60,000. MS65 red, $75,000 to $90,000. MS66 red, up to $118,000 at auction. Record auction sales. Here's proof that this is not just collector hype, these coins have set records. 2021, Heritage Auctions, a 1972 SDDO graded MS66 RD sold for $118,000. 2019, Stax Bowers, an MS65 RD brought $82,500. Even circulated examples have brought in over $10,000. Collectors love dramatic errors, and when it's tied to a famous coin like the Lincoln cent, values skyrocket. Other rare errors to watch for. 1. Off-center strikes. If your 1972 S penny is visibly off-center, especially by 50% or more while still showing the date and mint mark, it could be worth $1,000 to $10,000, depending on condition. Weigh less than 3.11 g. Appear thinner or oddly shaped. These can go for $5,000 to $30,000 plus at auction. 3. Clipped planchet errors. If your penny has a clean bite out of it, that's a clipped planchet. A dramatic, well-placed clip could fetch $800 to $4,000. Wrench. How to check your coins, tools of the trade. If you're serious about finding a valuable 1972 S cent, here's what you need. 10x or 20x magnifying loupe. Look for strong doubling in the motto and date. Digital scale, A weight of less than 3.11 g might mean a wrong planchet. Good lighting helps spot small doubling or mint defects. PCG's PhotoGrade app helps you estimate coin grade and value. Also, keep your coins uncleaned, don't polish or scrub them. Cleaned coins lose value fast. Classical building. Why these errors happened, the minting mishap. In the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure to produce coins quickly due to high economic demand. As a result, some dies weren't inspected properly. Hub misalignments weren't caught in time. Foreign planchets were mixed into U.S. production lines. All this resulted in rare errors slipping through the cracks, especially in the San Francisco Mint, which struck both proof and business strike coins. The 1972 SDDO is one of the most desirable survivors of that chaotic minting period. Trophy. Get it graded, turn a find into a fortune. Found a 1972 S with signs of doubling. Don't just sit on it. 1. Send it to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. 2. Store it safely in a 2x2 coin holder or airtight case. 3. Watch the auction results, because your penny might be the next $118,000 record breaker. Megaphone. Final thoughts. Is your penny the next big payday? So, what's the message today? Don't ignore that 1972 S penny. Check every cent carefully, especially those with the S mint mark. You could be holding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, a tiny piece of copper that could change your life. The basics. The 1973 S Lincoln cent. First, let's understand what we're dealing with. The 1973 S Lincoln cent was struck at the San Francisco Mint. It features the classic Lincoln Memorial reverse and Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. The S mint mark below the year indicates it was made in San Francisco. Composition: 95% copper, 5% zinc. Weight: 3.11 grams. Mintage: approximate 319 million. So with hundreds of millions minted, why is one penny worth over $122,000? Because just a handful were struck with catastrophic minting errors, and those coins are pure gold to collectors. Collision. The ultra-rare error, 1973 S double die obverse, DDO. Let's jump into the most famous error for this coin, the double die obverse, DDO. This happens when the coin die is improperly hubbed, causing part of the design to be duplicated. On the 1973 S, this duplication is bold and very visible, making it one of the most desirable double die errors in the Lincoln series. Magnifying glass. Tilted left. What to look for? Strong doubling on the motto "In God We Trust." Doubling on liberty. Doubling on the date 1973. This isn't minor doubling, we're talking about dramatic, eye-catching doubling that you can spot even without a microscope. Money bag value, from pocket change to $122,000 riches. Let's talk money. If you find this rare 1973 S error, the value depends heavily on condition and grade. Here's what some have sold for. XF40, extremely fine, $10,000 to $18,000. 58 Australian dollars, almost uncirculated, $25,000 to $38,000. MS64 red, $65,000 to $95,000. MS66 red, sold at auction for $122,000. Record auctions, real coins, real money. These aren't fantasy numbers, these are documented sales. 2020, Heritage Auctions MS66 RD 1973, SDDO sold for $122,000. 2018, Stax Bowers MS65 RD example reached $92,000. Even coins in circulated grades fetched $10,000 to $25,000. That's the power of scarcity combined with collector demand. Other rare 1973 S error types. It's not just about the double die. Here are other valuable mint errors that collectors hunt for. 1. Off-center strikes. When the die strikes the planchet off-center, leaving part of the design missing. If the coin is 50% off-center and still shows the date and mint mark, values can soar. Money bag value, $2,000 to $10,000. 2. Struck on wrong planchet. Some 1973 S cents were mistakenly struck on dime, foreign, or blank planchets. For example, a penny struck on a dime planchet would weigh only about 2.3 grams. These are extremely rare and valuable. Money bag value, $8,000 to $40,000 plus. Free, clipped planchets. When a blank planchet is miscut and a portion of the coin is missing, called a clip. If the clip is large and dramatic, the value increases substantially. Money bag value, $500 to $5,000 plus. Magnifying glass tilted right. How to find one. Check your coins like a pro. You don't need a fancy setup to begin your treasure hunt. Here's what you need. White heavy checkmark tools. 10x magnifying loupe, for spotting doubling in small lettering. Digital scale, to detect wrong planchets. Coin holder flips, to preserve any valuable finds. Lighting, natural or LED light brings out fine doubling details. Start by checking. Liberty, doubling here is a key sign. In God we trust, doubled letters are easy to spot. Date, look for 1973 with doubled digits. Brain, why did this happen? A look inside the mint. The early 1970s was a chaotic time for the US Mint. As demand for coins surged, mistakes started slipping through. Dies were used too long or improperly handled. Quality control couldn't keep up with volume. San Francisco Mint struck both proof and business coins, increasing complexity. These conditions gave rise to some of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cent errors ever produced. Sports metal grading is everything. Maximize your coin's worth. A coin's grade determines its price. If your 1973 SDDO is XF or AU, circulated, still worth thousands. MS64 red, jackpot range. MS66 red, auction level elite, up to $122,000. Pro tip, never clean your coin. It will lose collector value instantly. Send it directly to PCGS or NGC for grading. Megaphone final thoughts, your penny could be worth a fortune. So, the next time you see a 1973 S penny in your change, don't dismiss it. Take a closer look. Because if you spot doubling, off-center strikes, or anything unusual,